This is John, Drew, and Jole Gabrielle coming to you on this Sunday morning, July 30th. We thank you so much for joining us. John is going to go ahead and take it and tell you, and then I'll come in with the meditation towards the end.
Thank you, Jolé. It's great to be back again. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in for today's live broadcast. And for those watching it in the future, welcome to you too. You're seeing the tidied up, edited version. But anyway, the message is going to be the same. And let's hope that this is going to inspire you. And Jolé, I know we're going to be coming back together again a little bit later, not just for the meditation, but just talking a little bit deeper around Elevated Planet as well. So thank you. Right. So, yeah, for today, a continuation really of the story of the last couple of weeks, which took us to the caves, and it didn't take us to the caves. It took us why I needed to go to the caves, but the fact that I never actually made it as far as the caves, which was a shame, but I am going to get there in the end. And you'll all be aware of when I'm going. So you will know all about that. It was interesting, actually, because I read something again the other day. And it was talking very much about a lady who, she was very much in touch with the crystal grid, if you like, of the earth. And she was directed to go to the southwest where the Native Americans were. And it all had to do with lapis lazuli, which is a particular kind of rock that they had as well, which carried certain energies that the Native Americans valued very greatly. Anyway, as a result, I now have my lapis lazuli band on today, so I'm going to be firing on all cylinders. Anyway, so where were we now? You know from last week that Jole and I had our reading that she gave me the idea about, or told me about the caves of calling and all this kind of thing. But Jole then formed our connection. But one of the things that I was always super impressed by was Mystic Journey Bookstore as a place to go, because it was all steeped in all this stuff, which I was becoming rapidly interested in, whether it was tarot or oracle cards, it was crystals. In fact, the fellow who owns Mystic Journey Bookstore, he also has a crystal gallery, and he sells amazing crystals and various statues and other things made out of crystals. He sells to a lot of A-list celebrities because clearly he's up there in California near Los Angeles. In fact, he's in Santa Monica now, and also in Venice Beach. But I was really, I knew I was about to go back to live in the UK, and one of the things I was very keen to do was to effectively set up Mystic Journey Bookstore in the UK. So I met up with Jeff, who's the owner, and he had a very interesting story about how he came to start Mystic Journey Bookstore, because he was actually, I think he was a corporate lawyer for many years, and then he got cancer, and he was then sidelined for a long time, but he successfully worked his way through the cancer, became clear of it, but he knew he didn't want to go back to be a corporate lawyer. He knew he wanted to start Mystic Journey Bookstore with crystals and all this kind of thing. Now, absolutely poles apart. But when you go in this place, you understand why somebody had to create this amazing place. And you know, Jeff is very much somebody who is guided to do what he does. He travels the world finding these fantastic crystals. He loves his crystal gallery. He holds events and all this kind of thing. This is what I wanted. I wanted to create this. And coming back to my hometown of Sheffield, I wanted to try and create that somewhere. But here was the problem, because when I came back, the COVID curtain had fallen. Within a week of me getting back, we were all in lockdown. Obviously, nobody could go to the shops in the traditional ways. So all of a sudden, it was not a time to get into retail. And I was hoping that this would change and that I would be able to do what I intended to do. But as time went by and the problem still continued and the economy was in a mess, you could see that that was not the way to go. So I ended up creating what I called Mystic Store, which was just an online shop. We sold stuff which was to do with spiritual nature and all this kind of thing. And it was fine. It functioned. It did what it was supposed to do. But I knew it wasn't what I'd intended, really, because obviously what I wanted was a better balance. I wanted a whole host of things within the store itself. including having healers and readers available. I wanted to have a coffee shop in there where people could spend a little bit of time and enjoy the energy of the place. It was going to be beautiful. I even identified 1 or 2 premises I was hoping to move it to, but clearly it was just the timing was not right. So I went with Mystic Store for a while, created a website that supported it. But again, it was like, it wasn't really taking me in the direction I wanted to go. And then through a series of introductions, because I was checking out local mediums and psychics to see who I would want within the business. And there was somebody who introduced me to a lady called Tracy Matthewman, who is on our distribution list. She may even be here live now. But Tracy has her own business, which is, again, into spirituality. And interestingly, she had her own accountancy business, which she packed in to go into the spiritual side of things. So there's a tradition, there is a theme here with Jeff and with Tracy doing what she did. And it was interesting because then in turn, Tracy introduced me to Chris Stiles and 365 pin code, where you can have a reading, which is based on what most of us would call numerology, but it's much deeper than that. It's a mathematical blueprint, not just for people, but also for businesses. And so I had a reading with Chris, which was amazing. Really, it knocks your socks off when you kind of see the accuracy of these things. But one of the things that he told me was that Mystic Store would only succeed by the sweat of my brow. The time that the business was launched, the name of the business was not resonating from a universe perspective, and it would always be a struggle. I decided at that point, I believed and trusted in what Chris was telling me, because what he told me on a personal level was so accurate. I thought, okay, right, I need to recreate this. So it was that point that I reached out again to Jolé. Now I'm going to come back to that, because that's when I'm going to bring Jole in to discuss how we came out to create the elevated planet thing that came the other side of that. But I put a series of questions in when I included the invitation, which was around the fact that the thing that created my curiosity in the first instance was the fact that I'd had this reading with this lady called Susan Graw, who was amazing. I didn't believe in any of this stuff. I thought this was woo-woo nonsense till I went for my first hour's reading with Susan Graw. And she demonstrated beyond any doubt that the afterlife existed. And this was something that, because as a left brainer and realizing that my version of reality was wrong, that launched the next question. Well, how wrong was I? And what is the nature of consciousness? How can it be that my mom, who passed away in 1981, has been around me ever since, and actually met my daughter before she was even born? Now, that was just bizarre, but I needed to understand this. So given that I had more of an analytical left brain, I then launched myself into this. And often what I've discovered over the years, and again, I mentioned this last week, but this is kind of one of the fundamental tenets of consciousness, is understanding that when we're here on the planet, that what we are is not the meat suit. We are not the meat suit, and that is all we are. We're actually an immortal spirit having a human experience, and that makes all the difference. Once you understand that, this is just a temporary stopping point for experience in this particular physical realm, because typically we are non-physical life force energy. And so therefore this sort of diversion for 80, 90 years, whatever it is, or 5 years, or whatever it is you have on the planet, is here for an experience in the physical realm here on planet Earth. And not only that, but we planned it before we came here. And this was the bizarre thing that, I learned that all this pre-life planning goes on based off all the past lives that you've had, and maybe the last life in particular, at the time you were here. What did you feel were your main learning points? Where did you need to take that forward? What did you need to do better this time? And how would you be able to get that experience? So then you have to kind of work with your team on the other side, and that really does exist. Your team, your soul family, to set up, okay, right, I need to have lessons in humility this time around. How am I going to have something which forces me into a situation where I had to accept humility. So then you create a framework that is going to happen, which is going to force you into that feeling of humility, or you need to work on love, or you need to work on, you know, any of those kind of things where you're trying to build more into a frequency. You need to be more generous, more passionate, more loving. Who knows what that is, right? But you built a life framework which would unfold itself over, you know, your lifetime at the right time for these lessons to take place. So this is one of the things that I learned, is that when my mom is in spirit since 1981 and seeing everything happening, that is because we're all creations here in the physical realm vibrating at a unique frequency. Okay, everything in the entire planet, in the universe, is just energy vibrating at a specific frequency. Your life force energy that sits within the meat suit, if you like, vibrates at a certain frequency. Now, that is the part that lives on. When the physical body is no more, then, you know, that's just dropped away. Like you'd remove, you know, take clothing off, you know, that's the same thing, because then what lies underneath is that divine life force energy, which goes back to your true home, which is on the spirit side. So this is actually the dream time, as the Aborigines call it. We're at Earth School. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. The problem is that having done all this life planning, we're born into, you know, we're born into the world, but the veil of forgetfulness drops. So we no longer realize what our goals were for this lifetime. We do not realize that we are immortal spirits having a human experience. We are now reprogrammed by our life. We're reprogrammed by our parents, by our friends, by our family, by our circumstances, by education. And so we then draw this in, and because we're here for what is an individuated experience, that's why we're here. We're here to experience life feeling that we're separate from everything. Whereas in reality, the other thing I've learned is that we are all one, right? Everything came from the same source. You can call it the God source energy, you can call it source energy, you can call it the light, call it whatever you like. But the fact is that there is that first off stop point, if you like, which the scientists talk about the Big Bang, where this just like everything explodes out and it all becomes fractals of this and it creates all these different things. That's the Big Bang theory. And I believe that is pretty much true. But what it is, it's that original God force energy going out to create universes, to experience life in a variety of forms. So we, in turn, are just a fragment of a soul, an oversoul. So if you think about an energy within a soul is so massive that if you try to put it into a human being, the human being would die instantly. So it has to be a fractal. So if you think about a diamond with all its multiple facets, and let's say it's got 100 different facets on this diamond, and each one of those can have an individuated experience on planet Earth or elsewhere, because it doesn't have to be planet Earth. You know, everything is an expression of consciousness. Everything is we got Nala, our German Shepherd dog. She is a furry expression of divine consciousness. She still has that life force energy. It's just that her form is different. And I believe the same is true when it comes to our galactic cousins, for instance. Now, they don't have the veil of forgetfulness now. I mean, this is a story for another day, because otherwise I'm going to go too deep down that rabbit hole. But suffice to say, they reside typically in higher frequencies, which means that they are closer to those high frequency energies. It's less about the fear. It's less about anger. It's less about war. It's more about love. It's more about, all these good things like compassion, abundance, knowledge, being in service. That's kind of where they come from, but they are also expressions of consciousness. And who knows, I may well have been one of those expressions of consciousness in one of my past incarnations over the millions of years and the billions of years of existence. So it's a difficult thing to wrap your head around, but this is the nature of consciousness as I've come to understand it. So we each have a unique vibration, both living and dead, as we see it. So when we see someone as having died, they still continue on, but they are now at a higher frequency. And here's another interesting point. When we are incarnated in the physical form, we are held at a much lower frequency level. In order to be physical, you have to be lower frequency. So that being the case, your range of senses, the range of senses that we have, the visual range of senses is actually very narrow. The range of hearing that we have is narrow. Everything, all the five senses, they're actually held in quite a narrow band. So once you're higher frequency, you get to see different kinds of colors. You hear things differently. And even within this physical realm, again, we come back to Nala. Now, I know, for instance, that she can hear frequencies that I cannot hear. If you blow a dog whistle, the dog will hear it, but you won't. It's all about that range of senses. And similarly, the sense of smell that a dog has is significantly, millions of times more acute than us as humans, because that's their primary sense. So you can see, even within all the different species, there are different ranges of those senses. Our senses are quite narrow, which means that an entire world could exist outside of our range of senses, and it does. That's the other thing. So when my mom's here watching over everything that's going on and being supportive and being loving and sending messages to me every time I have a reading, and I'm kind of reaching out in my mind to her, she is actually at a high frequency, a frequency that I cannot see, that I cannot hear, but I know she's here. I know that she can get in touch through these people who are the psychics and the mediums and that kind of, and the likes of Jolé and Aveen and Kerry and Anne and you know, the others that we have on our books, because these people are the bridges. They act as a bridge between that narrow range of senses and the broader range of senses, and they have the ability to be the bridge. So they can reach up to a higher frequency, whilst those in the higher frequencies reach down to a slightly lower frequencies and they meet in the middle. That is how mediumship works. So that is how I communicate with my mom, and that is why she's been in my life ever since she passed on in 1981. So now I understand why all these people can come through to me and communicate with me. So that kind of now makes sense. Now, I also want to make this point, because this is something that came up from the previous week. This, as you know, is my version of the truth, and we are all different for a reason. You know, I had my epiphany over 5 years ago, and I've been steeped in this stuff ever since. But this is my version of the truth. I don't expect other people to just take my word for this at all. This is just my experience, and I want to share it, because the reason I want to share it is because it was such a wonderful thing that when I had that first reading back in 2018, it felt so healing. It just transformed my life. So I just wanted to give people an opportunity to have a similar experience, because this is not mainstream stuff. This is beyond mainstream. This is the woo-woo stuff. But I'm kind of now realizing that actually the woo stuff is reality. I just kind of wanted to understand it. But also, I don't necessarily expect people to agree with me, and I don't ask people to agree with me. All I want to do is share my experience and leave you to be discerning and decide what works for you, what is truth and what is deluded nonsense, and leave the stuff to one side that's deluded nonsense. But the other thing I'd say with Elevated Planet is we're here to plant the seeds. And if at some point in the future something clicks and say, well, hang on a second, I remember so-and-so from Elevated Planet explaining this, and this now fits, then maybe that is what it's all about as well. So that is something. Now, the questions I've written them up here to my left-hand side that I need to answer. Who are we? And this is kind of explaining from a consciousness perspective. Why are we here? We're here for life lessons. We're here to learn, and we're here to grow, and we're here to do things better than we did before, but to be of service, to kind of be able to reach those high frequency energies, and to be, you know, sharing and to be of service to others. But most of all, you know, it's to love. It's to love, but you have to love yourself. You have to have that sense of divinity, find that divinity within yourself, so that you can be the best you can be for the facing out to the world. That is it. Now, how did we get here was another of the questions. Well, we got here through, you know, just being born into this world, but the veil of forgetfulness drops down. So that makes it a real challenge. And the other thing I put almost jokingly, is there a return ticket? Yes, there is a return ticket. We all get to die at some point. We all get to go back to our original source. I wrote a series that I put out a number of pieces on called Dead Happy. And it's not to mock the death process, because I know that one of the things that happens, obviously, when somebody that we're close to dies, then we will naturally go into a grief process. Now, when you realize they're not truly dead, they've just gone back home effectively, then it can take some of the sting away. But the fact is, the grieving process is normal and it's natural, and it's not to say that is in any way wrong. But I think that the fact that we know that it's not true death as we think about it, it's just the end of this journey and going back to where we came from, to review about how we got on. We have our life review. We check out how we got on in that life review and see how we got on. We're judge and jury to ourselves. Nobody else is, but we are judge and jury to ourselves. And you go back to a place of infinite love, you know, somewhere that's beautiful. So that is another thing. The return ticket does take us back to the non-physical. And ultimately, the idea is we all get back to that original source energy, which is pure unconditional love. It's light. It's all that kind of thing. And that's great. So that is ultimately where we're heading. Now, I'm coming back to the elevated planet thing, because Mystic Store wasn't working, right? Decided to disband that, closed that business down, knew that we wanted to open another business. So at this point, I'm getting in touch with Jolé. I'm saying, Jolé, I want you to be part of this as well. So Jolé, are you here, ready to click in again?
I am right here and ready to click in.
You're right. I've got us both on the screen now. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So
right, Jolé. So I was coming back to you, and we were discussing about how we can build our business and what it was going to look like and what it was going to be called. Now, you and I are co-founders of this business. Correct. Legal business all set up. It's a UK-based business, but clearly we are very multinational, and that's the whole. Yeah. So we want to be global. We don't want to be just like UK. We just don't want to be US. We want to be global. So when we were establishing this, I want to bring in the third of the co-founders now, because this is an important point. We had to decide what we were going to call ourselves. So I did a little bit of brainstorming, and we exchanged notes on this, and we decided what sounded good. But then the third co-founder called in, right? So through Jole. So this is basically how we run this business. The third co-founder is the creator, right? This is at a high level. This is not my natural thing. I'm a mainstreamer, you know, who's kind of like learn a thing or two. Jole, you are the one that has been in connection with this for your lifetime. Yeah. Will you just talk us through a little bit about the process of how you make that connection on behalf of what is now Elevated Planet, and how we got to that particular name?
You know, sometimes we don't choose the path that the creator or this purpose that, you know, life puts us on. So my journey is one of disease and illness, and then the reach towards wellness. And at Clear Sight, I was taught how to tap in, because one of the things we want to make sure that we do when we align our chakras is connect with the divine. And oftentimes a middleman is fantastic for a time. But then as we mature in our spiritual and emotional development, it's time for us to learn how to, I guess, activate our soul architecture so that we can connect and receive messages from the divine. So I was taught how to do that. And I'd like to just show you briefly, or tell you, or help you lay on the table how you can also become clairvoyant or help yourself to tap into the integrating of logic and reason and the intuition and right and left brain. Because oftentimes in this society, we are taught dissonant thoughts, meaning, for instance, you can be whatever you want to be, you can do whatever you want to do, but yet and still, maybe if you're in a certain socioeconomic, maybe if you were born, you want to be an NBA player, but you're 5'2", it takes a certain type of energy to integrate the truth to what it is that you can do, what it is you're capable of, right? So that's how we can be more authentic, more vulnerable, and more integrated, and we can connect better and elevate the planet. So to connect with your clairvoyance, one of the things you want to do always is just your breathing is so important. So the first things first is to learn how to breathe with the rhythm of your body, and also to make sure that you are breathing, because we hold our breath. We're constantly in a state of fight or flight. In our first video, we learned how to ground our energy, because the point of power is in the present moment. So the visualization of a grounding cord into Mother Earth allows for you to stay in your body and be connected, receiving those messages, reality in the, from Mother Earth. You have an aura layer, which most people call their personal space. Through research, we've realized that it being 1.5 feet around you, or 18 inches in diameter, above you, below you, to the right, to the left, to the front and back, is the way for you to maintain a sense of peace and your own energy. And this is known as the aura layer. There's many bodies within, you have a physical body, you have a causal body, you have an astral body, you have all these bodies. Definitely want to bring in the astral body. What is the astral body? It is the thing that helps us to figure out and solve our problems. And it works when we are in our sleep mode. And it is connected to us with the silver string unlimited that can travel throughout the universe, calling in messages. So you can work with your astral body. When you go to sleep, you say, hey, I need to solve this problem. I need more money. The problem is we don't consistently work with our astral body on a regular basis at night to say, hey, I would like to get well. Help me cure this cancer. Help me to get a job. We just go to sleep in worry, doubt, and fear, not knowing we can use our astral body and our soul architecture to help us with our problems. I'm also at first of the line in not consistently using this, so don't feel bad. We want to make sure we snap that in our body, because then that also helps us to maneuver throughout our daily lives. And of course, we have the center of our head, which is where all these thoughts, worries, doubts, fears, the dissonance is at. And so there's an exercise where you can open up the third eye, and you put roses outside your aura layer. And what you do is you pull out this energy, or you just visualize it going into that rose outside your aura. And anytime that you move something out, you can also move it down your grounding cord. You have a golden sun, which represents divine cosmic life force energy. You open up that crown, you bring that in and allow it to fill up those spaces and places that you were to move out that energy. So now, once you clean out these chakras in the center of your head, even the way you clean out the center of your head is the way that you clean out all of the chakras. And then you bring in those golden suns. Now, once you have cleaned out your energy and you've connected, now you're able to look at a situation from a place of neutrality. And this is how you begin to read. So when John would come into my office, I would go through this, and then I open the reading by a prayer. Because we here at Elevated Planet, people may think, oh my God, this is this and that. They may put negative labels on what we do. Nevertheless, we are workers of the light. We work with divine life force energy. We work with positivity and goodness. And that's it. So you bring that into your system and you open it up by blessing, or I do, blessing the reading. And then you close it. And that's kind of how I would do my thing. But when you're reading, your chakras are aligned, and the way that you are able to read someone is that you're connecting. You're connecting. And most of the time I have matching pictures. That's how I'm able to see. So my past life experiences and this life experience kind of is a mirror, and I can kind of see, oh, this is similar. So then pictures start to pop in my head. That's why it's so important that I clean out the center of my head, because I need to see those pictures that your energy field is giving me. Things that you might not be able to see. I can see patterns and programs within the chakras. What do they look like? They look like tic-tac-toe, springs. They look like computer programs, things like that. You pull those out, and any pictures that are attached sit in the aura layer. So as I pull out those patterns and programs, pop out those pictures as well. What are pictures? Past lives, memories, blocks that are getting in the way from us moving forward. So you can do this for yourself. It is not rocket science. It's so easy. It's just about knowledge and wisdom. Mm-hmm. So today I would love to take you through a meditation that allows for you to clean out the center of your head and integrate your logic and reason with your intuition, bringing you into the present moment and allowing for you to align more with your purpose and to connect with others and help us elevate the planet. But in the meantime, I just want to continue to tell you that when I do read a person, what they also have to do is say their name 3 times in a row, first and last, the way that they say it in everyday life. And what that does is it gives me permission to read. I cannot read, I cannot do anything to anyone without their permission. Even if I'm offering a prayer or if I'm offering wellness, a wellness energy medicine, I must ask their higher self for permission. And if they say no, then it just sits outside their aura layer until they say yes, or else it just dissolves. So it's really about respecting space, being peaceful, connecting with others, and also holding the space for positive energy to come in your life, your environment, and the lives of others. So take a deep breath, and I really want you guys, if you can, let us all take a moment to just give gratitude to our bodies, our minds, and our spirit. Tell yourself thank you. Give yourself love and some forgiveness and compassion. Really connect from a heart-centered space. And you're asking, how do I do that? If it's hard for you to use those words, if you can close your eyes and visualize your heart the way that you've seen it, the little emoji coming from your chest, and those blood cells that are pulsating from your heart through your body, your circulation, see those cells turn into the shape of a heart. All those blood cells, as they pump out of your heart and into each part of your body, they're in the shape of a heart, moving love, forgiveness, and compassion all throughout your physical body, making an emotional and spiritual imprint, sending that into the aura layer and out into the universe, surrounding you with love, keeping you safe. As your feet are flat on the floor, your palms are face up on your thighs. For those of you who want to lay down for the meditation, please make sure to keep your feet flat on the floor for the first few minutes. As you breathe with the rhythm of your body, command your heartbeat to sync up with your breath. Don't worry about staying in the visualization of your blood cells taking on the shape of a heart. That is automatically going to continue because we're going to call our higher self above us in a comfortable distance above our heads, and just command the higher self to sit at a distance of 2 feet above your crown. It's a little too close. You feel the heat, the tingliness. Pop it up 6 feet. Is that still a little bit too close? If not, pop it up 10 feet and keep popping it up until you just feel a nice, comfortable airiness between you and your higher self, but you still feel its presence above you. Pull your aura in 1.5 feet around you. Ground your energy into Mother Earth from that heart-centered space. Create roots. Make sure your grounding cord is 6 inches in diameter and connected to your first chakra. As you take a deep breath in and relax even deeper, bring your awareness to the center of your head. How do I do that, you say? You can visualize a stairway from your heart all the way up into the center of your head. Have fun with it. Visualize, create, or imagine a ladder or a staircase that is golden. And walk your energy up from the heart all the way up through the throat, past your mouth, past your nose. And right there, you're sitting in the center of your head as that staircase or ladder dissolves. And you look around and you see what is in there. You don't need any of it. We're going to get rid of it. So now you're going to create, visualize, imagine roses outside your aura layer, one to the right and one to the left. This is the universal symbol of transmuting negative energy into positive energy. And you're going to command your third eye to open like the lens of a camera. And you are going to send out all of the worry, doubt, and fear into the roses outside your aura. This can be done magically by all of this stuff floating out into the aura, into the roses outside your aura, or you can call in golden rose-shaped cleaning utensils to come in, golden rose-shaped trash bags, brooms, mops, disinfectant, and just go to cleaning, filling up those golden rose-shaped trash bags, sweeping, getting in those corners, cleaning out every single thing in the center of your head, except for you and a comfortable place to sit. Move all of it out. And then when you have moved all of that energy out into those roses outside your aura, I want you to give it an energetic push, 5 feet away, 10 feet away, 20 feet away, and blow them up, turning them into positive creative life force energy for anyone to use, and giving all those people, places, and things their energy back. And a golden sun above your head. So while you're blowing up these roses, you can imagine them turning into fireworks. And that's the positive creative life force energy. You can put some energetic dynamite underneath it and see it blow up. And it's not hurting anything. What it is doing is celebrating, giving the energy back to that person, breaking all ties. Any worry, doubts, fear, jealousy, envy, problems, traumas, you're blowing it up. You're getting rid of it, and you're giving them their energy back. As your energy, you call it back into the golden sun above your head. It automatically just comes back in. And as you do this, you're breathing with the rhythm of your body. And I just want to gently remind you that you are grounded and rooted into Mother Earth. The grounding cord that is 6 inches in diameter, connected to that heart chakra, clean, clear, and filled with gold light. Your aura is 1.5 feet around you. Your higher self is above you. Your astral body is snapped in. You have a golden, beautiful sun above your head with all your energy that has been called back, sitting in that golden sun. as you're breathing with the rhythm of your body and your heartbeat is synced with your breath. And now, as you sit in the center of your head, in this beautiful golden room, I want you to see, visualize, imagine, and create an integration of the right brain, that creative, intuitive energy, and that left brain, that logic and reason, beginning to communicate and connect with one another. While you're sitting in the center of your head, be the captain of allowing for those brain cells, those synapses, and those neurons to begin to communicate and dance with one another. Above you, below you, around you, so that you're integrating and there's a congruence and any dissonance is now being resolved and dissolved. Moved out into those roses outside your aura 5 feet away from you, because once you blew up the ones before, others appear there. They're there automatically. Move that dissonance, that energy of confusion, that lack of clarity about your career, about your relationship, about your prosperity, about your past. Move it out into the rose outside your aura. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Is it cloudy? Is it mucusy? What is it? It doesn't matter. Move it out. Is it words? Is it people? Put it into that rose outside your aura. As that energy begins to fill up that golden sun above your head, allow this to take place as I asked you to move your awareness to the bottoms of your feet and open the bottoms of your feet like the lens of a camera. Open your hand chakras like you would the lens of a camera and command 15% earth energy of a color that resonates with you. Is it red for fire? Do you need to be motivated and more productive? Is it green for healing? Are we moving out depression, anxiety, disease, and illness? Or is it blue that we need to move in the healing waters of calmness, moving out anger, frustration, irritation? Is it the pink of unconditional love and forgiveness for ourselves and those around us? Is it a combination of all of those things? A beautiful rainbow of energetic energy from Mother Earth that is neutral. The labels that we're putting on it in society have nothing to do with the beauty of the rainbow of Mother Earth, bringing in that nurturing energy of the promise of a beautiful and elevated planet if humankind can connect. Bring in that energy, see it come up the medial and the lateral side channels of your legs. 15%, command it to be so. You know this, we're just asking you to remember. Allow for this energy to pull in your feet, come up the side channels of your legs as it goes past your ankles and your shins and your knees. It's coming up past that femur, cleaning out that femoral artery, allowing for that love to pulsate through your channels of manifestation, pushing you, prodding you, and loving you towards your purpose. Move out any doubt, any fear, any labels, any judgments, any criticisms out of these legs, any childhood trauma you may be holding. Allow for this essence of Mother Earth to bring in that forgiveness, bring in that love, move out that negativity. Whatever color you have, it comes into the hips, the sacrum, and it starts to go down, does a U-turn, goes down the grounding cord as you bring in that golden sun of your own energy. And then allow for that 85% cosmic gold. Generate, visualize, or imagine beautiful golden energy pouring into your crown as it fills up the center of your head, stabilizing, fortifying the connection between that right and that left brain, that electricity pulsating with gold light as it moves down through your throat chakra and then it hits that spine. the base of that spine, as it moves down and lights up each one of those vertebrae, inspiring and motivating the nervous system to get you up, get you motivated, get you stepping into wellness as it moves down each one of those vertebrae, and it begins to mix in with that earth energy and your own energy. Now it begins to fill you up like water fills up a cup in the center, filling up your ankles, all the way, your knees, your thighs, mixing into that colon, the reproductive organs, the liver, the kidney, the spleen, all of the organs of the body, the bones, the spine, all of the organs of the body, the stomach, the transverse, the descending, the sigmoid colon, all of it, moving up into the sacrum, all the way up the chest, the heart, the aorta, the lungs, the rib cage. That energy is moving through, cleaning, detoxifying, bringing in health, wellness, as it bifurcates down those shoulders, separates, goes into the fingers, the phalanges, the thumb, moving up the wrist, all the way up the radius and the ulna, and the upper arms and the elbow, moving out disease and illness. As it comes up the neck and the crown, and it begins to sprout out of the crown, filling up the aura layers. And this is how you clean out your spiritual body, your soul architecture, moving out disease, illness, judgment, doubt, worry, fear, shame, traumas, moving in divine life force energy, wellness, sanity, prosperity, aligning you with the laws of the universe. Hold the space as you breathe with the rhythm of your body, and you allow for this 15% earth energy of a color that resonates with you to mix in with all of your energy that you called back in that golden sun, along with that 85% cosmic life force energy, raining down that crown, mixing in with that loving blood cells running throughout your body as it sprouts out into that aura layer, pulsating love out throughout your whole system, out into the universe, to those that you love, enlightening, uplifting, and elevating everything around you as you connect with the divine energy of Mother Earth and cosmic life force energy, as you shine bright in this universe, knowing that you are a being of light and of love. Breathe, take a deep breath in as you let this flow. Continue to breathe with the rhythm of your body as I gently remind you that your heartbeat is synced up with your breath. You're grounded and rooted into Mother Earth with a grounding core that is 6 inches in diameter, clean and clear and filled with gold light, bringing you into the present moment. Your aura is 1.5 feet around you. Your higher self is above you, and your astral body is snapped in. Feet in your feet, knees in your knees, hips in your hips, shoulders in your shoulders, head in your heads, hands in your hands. So 15% and 85 mixes in with your energy, sprouting out into that aura layer as those blood cells move that love all throughout your body, healing you and bringing you into wellness. Take a deep breath in. Bring your awareness back into the center of your head and see those synapses and neurons talking to each other. Create that golden staircase or ladder and bring your awareness back down into that heart chakra as that ladder staircase dissolves itself. We want you to close your feet chakras like you would the lens of a camera and stop running energy. If there are still roses outside your aura, please give them a push, blow them up, turn them into positive, creative life force energy. Close your hand chakras like you would the lens of a camera. Close your crown chakra Take a deep breath in. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes.
Very nice. Thank you. Beautiful. And that was, you know, we talked about the importance of this like before we started today, because there's a phrase that I've heard and I like, which is where your attention goes, your energy flows. Okay. And the whole point behind that is that we're deluged with negative information all the time. You know, you're going to watch the news or read the papers or anything. It's like a diet of negativity, and it can kind of take you to places you don't want to go. So all the time, right, you're getting cluttered. You're getting cluttered with things that don't serve you. So the ability to shift that out is important. And I think that this is a valuable tool to have, to repeat. You know, this is kind of, it's a bit like with last week's as well. You know, the healing side of things, the wellness side of things, finding that optimal well-being side of things is a beautiful thing. But also, as you say, you know, like we clean our house, right?
Yeah.
We clean the dishes.
Yeah.
It's the same principle. We have to clean out the junk that accumulates.
Yes. Very good. Thank you. Yes, that's exactly. It's just that simple. And what makes us think that, you know, we talk about laws and patterns, you know, these are the things that we build on, patterns, right? We look for patterns. We look for math. We always wonder, what's the math? Okay.
Yeah.
So the math is this: when you are consistent in doing the visualizations, when you are consistent in connecting with the divine and knowing that that's within you, when you are consistent with anything, you will see results. And that what makes us think that we have to wash our dishes, we have to wash our home, we have to wash our body, we detox. Why don't we think that maybe our thoughts and our ideas and our perspective need some detoxification as well? And then the question is how? And then when we show you how, it's like, well, I don't believe it because it's intangible. But then you go and you look for that. You're searching for it all the time in different ways. And we believe that we align with that. Your therapist, your allopathic doctor, Western medicine, whatever, we align with that. Nevertheless, we believe that you can build on that and empower yourself to integrate with them, to create an even more dynamic healing, even more dynamic stepping into your own power and out of depression and anxiety. It's possible. You know, I had 13 months of training and I was a wreck when I went in there. And by the time I came out, just being that consistent and working, I was truly a transformed person, physically as well as emotionally. So we're laying this on the table for us as well as everyone else to heal, to step into wellness. Healing, you know, that's a word that is thrown around a lot. And I just feel like wellness is a more appropriate term because it's more holistic in its way. And it's not leaning on a miracle, you know, because miracles are in everyday life and they often happen when we change our perspective, right? If you can see it, you can have it. So let's start seeing a better planet, a better life for ourselves and others. And then mind meld that, right?
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
And the other thing that I will put links onto when we send this video out tomorrow, actually, because we're doing the editing, sending it out with the weekly, which goes out on Monday now rather than Sunday, because then we can include this within it. But we're also going to put links into 3 videos that I did with Jole, which was talking about soul architecture, where I was speaking on behalf of the mainstream to go through piece by piece the soul architecture so people have an opportunity to understand it. I mean, I know you mentioned about clear sight, which is, as I see it, it's like Hogwarts for like Los Angeles, right?
Yes, yes.
I don't know whether you had an owl or a rat or whatever, is your little animal thing, but that's what, because I know that also Laurie Lamson went through that, and the Reverend Judy Nelson.
It was our teacher, and she, oh my God, I would say, I don't even know. I have no words for her magnificent.
It's wonderful, isn't it? And you know,
Yeah.
they're all accessible. You're all accessible through Readers and Healers. And also on tomorrow's, we've also got Anne Walker, who is one of our healers and teachers actually in the UK. She's also the mother to Kerry Eden, who's one of our psychic mediums and star seeds. So, you know, this is great. Both sides of the Atlantic, we've got really talented people. And I am very grateful for that. And this is how Elevated Planet came to be, because it was this kind of connection from Jole to the creator when we were working out what it should be called, what the right energy was for it. And when we got to Elevated Planet and Jole was just like communicating this upstairs, as it were, through to our co-founder, this is the one that came through. This is the one that had the resonance. And the interesting thing was that we were told that Elevated Planet has been out there waiting. Right, it's been existed, but it had to be brought into the earth, right, to be manifested, and that was our job, was to manifest this. You know, the meeting that you and I had was not an accident. That was always part of our life paths, is that we were always intended to cross, and it's quite likely our life paths have crossed in previous lives as well, because it's a very important connection, and it's amazing how these connections happen.
Right.
I can go deeper into that in future, but nevertheless.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for you know, touching on that, John, because I completely forgot to put that in.
Oh yeah.
So we work with divine life force energy. Any negativity, we do not align with that. We don't understand that, and we're not there for that. Please understand. We understand the labels that can be put on this, but we are really trying to help people step into wellness and grow into their positive life force purpose.
Yeah, I love that. And one last thing to mention before we sign off, Nos Populi is another thing that features on tomorrow's newsletter, because this is now coming up. We're going to send the email out tomorrow to our starter community, if you like, but everybody is welcome who wishes to join. And this is talking about what is going on with the disclosure movement at the moment. It's going on in Congress right now, but we have to be slightly wary about what is going on and how it is being presented to the world. Okay, so that's all I'll say on that. It's worth, I really ask that you open it up, take a look at it, read it, and judge it for yourselves, because the one thing I would say is that we do need to be discerning about the information that we receive, because there is a lot of disinformation out there. And I am not saying that everything that Elevated Planet tells you is something that you should immediately take to heart, because you have to be discerning over what you hear from us as well, because everybody is on their individuated journeys, and everybody is different, right? So, and there is strength in diversity. So it's not like you try and homogenize everybody into one kind of being. That's far from the truth. Everybody has a unique role to play on this planet. And our job, as I see it, Jole, is that we help people to understand, to get to the point where they understand their purpose, where they have the fear drops away and they just love life, right? That's because that's what happens when you find your purpose, because there's nothing to be afraid of. When you truly understand who we are and what we are, there is no point in being afraid about anything. You just love the journey, enjoy the journey. And that's where we want to take everybody to. So,
yes. Wonderful.
Thank you, Jole.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much for the meditation and for the words of wisdom, as always, Jole.
Yep, same to you.
And thank you to the community for tuning in today. And we will be making this video available shortly anyway, for those who weren't able to make it. Until other than that, we will see you next week, hopefully. Same time, same bat channel, as Joe says.
Yes. Yes.
We'll shine the bat torch into the sky so everybody knows it's time to tune in.
Because you know we're flying by the seat of our pants, so we'll be there. All right, John.
Thank you, Jole. Thank you, everybody.